All right, so guys, good morning, and you are welcome to the part 3 of our study on time value of money. And in this part 3, what we do is that we will do the past questions review. So I'm going to solve some of the past questions with you, and you will use it as a lead to solve the remaining past question. I would encourage you to get this my FM book. It will help you. The price is 250 Ghana cedis. It will help you because once we finish time value of money, you see that we are doing the past questions on that, and you have all the past questions that has ever come on time value of money. It is examined every year since 2019 up to March 2024. You have all the past questions available, and you have also the solution just to guide you. All right. So I will encourage you to get one. So in an hour or close to an hour, we are coming to look at as much as we can the number of past questions that we can solve. Then I will leave the rest to you. All right. So we pick the first past question, which is November 2019, to find how we go around the time value of money. So let's start. So we pick question 1, and that is November 2019. Don't forget, you have to relax, practice it, then speed up, all right, once you get all the concepts clear. So in this one, we say we have Joy Mommy, who is considering an endowment fund to finance a scholarship scheme to provide funding for education for children of its employees. I think you should start getting meanings into what you are reading now. It's a good thing she's doing anyway. The company plans to make an initial deposit of 500,000 into the fund. When? Now. The initial deposit will be invested for 3 years before any disbursement will be made out of the fund. So they are saving the money for 3 years before they can even take some out to share. The effective rates of return, she has given you effective annual rate of return. Anyway, rate is always annual, whether they don't add it or not, or they add it or not. All right. It's expected to be 14% in the first year, 15% in the second year, and 16%, 16.5% in the third year. So what we are trying to do is, as I compute the balance of the fund at the end of the 3 years. Now, what we are trying to see in here is that the person is doing one sum deposit. So it's a lump sum. So the lump sum of 500,000. So what we are seeing here is that the question is asking us to find out the future value of a lump sum, but the rate is changing. The rate is changing. We have rate for each of the years. So quickly, it's simple. You take 500,000, then you multiply it by what? 1.14 for the first year. You can also do the traditional stuff. So you had 500,000. Then there is interest of 14%. When you finish, you add it up. The money, there's no addition. The next interest, this is year 1. So the next interest, year 2, will be 15%. Then you add it up. Then the next interest, year 3, will be 16.5%. So you add it up, you get your final answer. But someone can also do it like this. All right. So the figure that the person will have will continue. So you can try to go like this, or you can try to just do 500,000 multiplied by 1.14. It gives you the figure at the end of the first year. So you have 500,000 0.14. If you go like this, this is what you have, 70,000. So you have 570,000. Then this figure, you multiply it by 1.5, you have 10,500. Is that so? No, let's check it up again. So the first one is 500,000 multiplied by 0.14. That is 70,000. So I will add it to my 570, my 500. Then I get the 570. Then I do 0.14, 15%. It's 85. That is why I was surprised. Because if The first one is giving me 70,000. The money has increased. It should have also increased. So I have 85,500. Then I add it to my 570. So I have 655,500. Then I multiply by 0.165. And that gives me 108, sorry, 157.5. So if I add it now to the 655,500, the total answer I am getting is 763,657, and there is a 0.5 to it. So very easy. You were doing this thing for 4 marks. All right. But you see, you can as well go into this one and multiply it again by 1.15 and then multiply by 1.165. All right, 16.5%. I think you should get the same answer, because this one means when you multiply this one by this one, is this one you are getting. When you continue to multiply, you are getting this, and when you continue to multiply, you are getting this. So let's try 500,000 multiply by 1.14, multiply by 1.15, multiply by 1.165. Indeed, that is it. So with understanding, you can speed up your process. All right, so that is that. But let me show you something just in case. You see, this one, they said that the woman will not withdraw anything from the money until the 3rd year. So assuming you withdraw, let's say 100,000 in the 2nd year, you would have reduced this part by 100,000 before you calculate the your answer on, that will be 470, right? So that is how you go about it. And in that case, this formula will not work. All right, so that is that. So don't rush it. Think through the question. So if, let's say, in the 2nd year, before the interest is applied, she took some money, then you take the money out. If the question now brings in dates, let's say you took the money in, what do you call it, in the middle of the month, all right, and the rate is per annum, you have to also prorata maybe the first 6 months. This is the interest you get. Then after she took out some of the money, you continue the next 6 months. Just work it along the question. All right, so that is that. Now let's go to the B part of the question. Let's go to the B part. So now the B part says that Oberty Limited is offering a 5 million unit of 15 years, 15-year bond with a face value of 100,000 each. All right, so we have 5 million bonds. The face value is 100 each, and that gives us like 500 million, right? Yeah, so 100 each. It says that though the bonds are being offered at the price of 95 each, the bond will be redeemed at a premium of 10%. So what does it mean? It tells you that normally the bond price should be 100, but he is offering it at 95. That means that he's offering the bond at a discount. Initial measurement, discount. There will be a discount. Now, even though he is offering it as a discount, there is a premium. It doesn't normally happen like that. So let me take this opportunity to explain something to you. We will do bonds later. When somebody issues a bond, it means the person is buying a debt. That is the first thing you need to understand. Anytime you hear that somebody has issued bond, it means that the person is what? Buying a debt. So as a Ghanaian, you should understand these words. A bond, government bond, this bond. What does it mean? So what the government is basically doing is that he is selling a commitment. He's selling a commitment. What does he mean by selling a commitment? It means that he's selling just a paper to you, a paper on which the commitment is based. Now, the paper says that come and buy from me, in this particular example, come and buy from me something that is 500 million, so that I will owe you. Buy a paper that says that I will owe you 500 million. That is the meaning. Now, when I am buying the paper from the government, I need to pay money. All right. And how much should I pay? Normally, it should be the same 500,000 so that the government will owe me 500. So I will pay 500 million for the paper. Then it means that the government owes me 500 million. That is how it should be. But the thing is saying that, and Ghana as it stands right now, you've heard of our credit rate going down and all those things, which means that nobody is willing to pay 500,000 Ghana, 500 million to the government for that paper, so that the government will owe him 500 million, although the government will be paying interest. But what is happening is that the government is rather issuing it at 95. You see, the price was 100, right? It says that it is issuing it at 95, which means that I will buy the thing at 95, but the government will owe me 500 million. So that is it. And it happens because our credit rate is down. If they don't do that, nobody will buy the paper and the government will owe him. So that is what it is saying. So let's say the thing was 5 million, right? Multiplying it by 95, how much will we get? Let's say 5 million by 95, which means that whoever is buying it is going to pay 475 million. But if I gave the government 475 million, the government should be owing me 475, but that is not the case. The government just reduced it so that I will pay. So that if you're a Ghanaian, understand this because it hurts. So our government sometimes, or in this current dispensation, is going to borrow money. The amount he will get from borrowing the money is 475 million. But the amount the government will pay is 500 million. So have you seen what is happening now? On top of it, this question is now saying, this 500 million that we are doing, we will pay interest. And the coupon interest is 15%. So it means every year we will be paying interest of 15%. Which the 15% normally should have been applied to this, but not the case because of the way we have managed our own economy. So we are going to pay the 15%, even on this, the money we didn't get. And so the question is saying, for example, even though we have had this, when we are paying the 500 million money, we will have to pay additional 10% premium. So there will be a 10% on this, which is 50. We will have to pay again. Isn't it sad? But that is where we find ourselves in. So that is the explanation of this question. I hope you have had something little. So it means that our liability is not only the 500,000, but in the day the years are over, the 15 years are over, we are going to pay an extra premium of 10% of this 500 million. So the day the 15-year will come, we are going to pay 550 million. That is our liability. Of course, there is interest in between every year of 15%. So take note of that. And so the question says that interest is payable at the end of every 6 months. That is also interesting. Now, this is the first part of the question. Let's go to the second part of the question. A provision in the bond indenture requires that Oberty Limited establishes a sinking fund. And I told you, I explained sinking fund to you. So government borrows, creates a fund, all right? Then he will be putting money in the fund so that it will take care of the loan when it becomes due. So as part of the bond agreement, the Oberty Limited needs to establish a fund. So this is the fund he has established to accommodate enough money to pay the redemption upon. So we are not paying the interest. We are just paying the redemption, and this is the redemption. All right. So our question is not on the focus of 15% interest that is paid every 6 months. All right. So that is that. That is not the focus of the question. And it says to comply with these provisions, Oberty Limited plans to set aside an even amount at the end of the month. So there is an X, and the X should be at the end of each quarter. So that is that. That is that. And it says that the even amount will be set aside, will be invested also in an annual interest rate of 12% with quarterly compounding. So there's an interest of 12%. So this one, 12%. So you see, in this question, there are about 3 rates. You need to know and understand which the meaning or the use of each of the rates. All right. So herein, we are supposed to calculate the even amount. So the question is on finding X, because we already know the future liability. So if I ask you which formula is applicable, you will say which one, PVA or FVA formula? Of course, we are looking for how much you need to be saving to know an amount in future, to get an amount in future. So it is an FVA formula. Now, I told you that once you have been able to spot that it is an FVA formula, is it an FVA formula that is annuity due or FVA formula that is ordinary annuity? How do you know? You will find out when the X flows, the cash flow of the X flows. And this one is at the end of each quarter. So if it's at the end, then it is which one? Ordinary annuity. You are doing well. All right. So what is the formula again? So we have X, then we have 1 plus R over N, NT, right? Minus 1 all over R, N, and we end it here. We don't extend it. All right. So we know that the FVA is 550 million. We don't know the X. And we know 1 is 1 plus R. R was given to us. All right. So it is what? 12%. 0.12. And it is compounding quarterly. So we have 4 multiplied by how many years? 15 years in the question. All minus 1 over 0.124. That's all. Once you're able to do this, the next thing is to work within here. So what I'm going to do is that I have 0.12 divided by 4. All right, I'm doing this part. Okay, so when all right, that gives me 3 over 100. Then plus 1 here, this one. All right, so 103. So then I do raised to the power 4 times 15. So this side. So I've done that. It gives me 5.89 something. Then I minus 1. I do that. Then I divide it by this. So divided by 0.12. Then the down is 4. Then I get 163. So what I get here is 163.0534368. You don't need to write all, you can just limit it. X. And here is 550 million. So if I want my X, then 163.0534368. Sorry. So 163.0534368. So I keep my answer, then I do 550 divided by answer. All right. And that gives me something like 3 points. 3 points, and it is in million, 3.37 million. So basically that is how much it gives me. All right. So if I want it in millions, then I can multiply it by 6 zeros. And that is like 3373 127.31. So 123. And that is how I get my answer. So it means that every quarter he needs to deposit this amount. All right. So that is how we get the answer out. So that is that. Let's pick another question and find out how we're going to go about it. All right. So let's go to question 2. Question 2. All right. It is always a 10 marker thing. So take note of that. So in question 2, it says that Odapejan Foods is borrowing. What does it mean? Is borrowing. That is present tense. All right, present tense. It's borrowing 500,000 to finance a project involving an expansion of its existing factory. It has obtained an offer from Sika Bank. The terms of the loan facility are as follows. The annual rate is 22%. Duration is 2 years. Interest rate compounding interest with quarterly compounding. All right. Then we have the payment plan, equal installments at the end of what each quarter. So we are looking at the end, compute the quarterly installment. So here too, we are looking for what? The X. All right. Is borrowing is 500,000. And as you know, when it comes to present tense, so this one means a PVA formula is borrowing. All right, not will be borrowing. So it's like he already knows the money today. All right, so that is that. In English, they call it what? Present continuous, right? Yeah, so it's present. All right, then the rate has been given us. We know the duration, we know it is compounding quarterly. The payment plan is at the end of, we are not interested when at the end or at the beginning when it comes to the PVA. All right, so basically that is that. So PVA formula is equal to, you can use PMT, but I would prefer to still use the X. So you do 1 minus the discount factor formula, which is 1 plus R over N T all over Rn. So that is all. So we know that the money is 500,000. We are looking for X. All right, so 1 minus 1 over 1 plus, what is our rate? 0.22 over how many? N. So that is what we have. Then this side is being raised to the power of NT, which is 2 years. So 4 multiplied by 2 years. And we have 0.22 over 4. That is how you go about it. So you solve the ones here first. So what do? I have 0.22 divided by 4 plus 1 raised to the power. So I'm basically doing the one down here. Raised to the power. So where is it? Plus 1. Answer raised to the power 4. That is 8. All right, raised to the power 8. So I get 1.58 something. So 1 divided by that answer, I get 0. So I've done 1 divided by the answer. Then 1 minus the answer. So 1 minus the answer. And I'll get 0.3 something, 0.3484. Then I'm now dividing it, divided by, so I have this. These days, you guys can punch the whole thing together, but I'm an old school person, right? So I just punch it. So I get X with 6.3345, or let me say 46 rounded, and here is 500,000. So I just do the division, right? 6.3346. 6.3346. That's what I'm writing. But when I'm doing it, I'll just punch 500,000 divided by answer. And that gives me 78,932.01. So that is that. I do this. How many marks? 3 marks. You get it. You go your way. And it says we should prepare a loan amortization schedule to show the periodic interest charges, installment payment, principal payment, and balance. So he has given us what should go on the table. But anybody that has done FR before understands this schedule. All right, there's the amortized cost table. All right. So what do? We normally have our balance. And this one, it is in arrears. The payment is at the end. All right. So what comes this? Finance cost, right? So here is our interest. Okay. All right. So interest charges, we have talked about that. Then the installment payment. The principal payment is what we've shown here. The installment payment, which we call it cash flow, the cash payment. All right. So, and the installment payment, we found it already. So every quarter, this is what we are paying. That's the X. All right. So, and you have to be careful. This is 2 years. So the timing won't be 2 years. It is in quarters. So you have to be careful. Then let me put my balance here. So balance. So balance carry down. So this one is more like balance brought down. Then I have my period. So the period or the time. So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 will be in 1 year. Then I go and do the second year. So that one too, we have Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So that is how the table looks like. Quickly, I know that every year I'm paying, how much is that? 70, every quarter I'm paying 78, 932.01. That is what I'm paying every quarter. Seven eight nine three 2.01, 78932.01, 78932.01, 78932.01. Anyway, by the time you finish paying, I think your balance should be, because if you paid everything, you paid everything. And so the balance should reduce to 0. All right. So the interest rate we have here is 22%, but we are doing it quarterly. So 22 divided by 4. So we have 0.22 divided by 4. That is 0.055. All right. So that is basically, that is that. So I started by owing 500,000. And there was an interest by that money. So it's 27,500. But I pay this. So what I do is that plus 500,000 minus 78,932.01. So by the end of this period, I have 44 to pay. 448,567.99. That is what I have to pay. 99. And balance carried down will be my So 448,569, 567. Sorry. So 567.99. Then I'll calculate my interest, multiply by 0.55, 0.055. Interest is 24,671.24 rounded. So that is what I have. Now, then I take off this. So plus 448,567.99 minus 78,932.01. Is that correct? I'm having some funny answer. So let's go again. 448,567.99 plus 24,671.24 minus 78,932.01. All right, so I have 394,307.22. So here will be 394,307.22. Then I multiply it by 0.055 to get the interest. That is giving me 21,686.90. Then I take off my periodic payment. So the answer that I have, I'm lessing 78,932.01. Then I add 394,307.22. and that gives me 337062.11. All right, so we continue till we finish. 062.11. I multiply by 0.055 to get my interest, 18538.42. Take off the periodic payment, 78932.01 plus 337062.11. And that gives me 276,668.52. So 276,668.52. I multiply by 0.055, and that gives me 15216.77. So I take out my periodic payments. So 78,7932.01. The answer that I have, I just add plus 27668. The 27, the 6 are 3, 6668.52. All right, then I get 212,953.28. All right, 212,953.28 multiplied by 0.055. That gives me 11,712.43. I take off my periodic payment, so minus 78,932.01. Then plus 212,953.28. All right, I have 145,733.70. So 145,733.70 multiplied by 0.055, my interest. You see, it is going down and down and down. So if I minus 78,932.01 plus 145,733.7, all right, I get 74,817.04. So 74,817.04. Then I multiply to 0.055 to get, I have 4,114.94. All right, it should be getting you to 0. If not, there is just some few approximations, the roundings that we are doing. So if I now add this 4114 to 74,817.04, I have 70. You see, what I have actually is 78931.98. So if you can see, that is what I have. And so when I take this one out, minus 78932.01, the figure there is 0.03, so insignificant. So it's dashed. So that is how you know you are right. All right, so that is that. I think we can solve one last question. So before we go, so let's solve the last November 2020. So the rest will be left up to you. Practice it. All right, so that is that. Let's look at the question 3. The question 3 says the director of PDS is considering 2 payment options. Option 1 is a cash purchase option, and this option requires immediate payment of the full price of the plant. If PDS chooses this plant, it will pay a cash price of 800. So there is a payment today. So that is a present value. Today is present. So you have 800,379 today. PDS plans to raise the required amount by borrowing. So you already know the money today. The consolidated fund has offered to lend the cash price to PDS, and it requires interest of 15% with monthly compounding. So the R is 15 and 12 times monthly. The loan interest and other charges are to be amortized by even installment of this one, even installment. So X is what? 27 227,952.26 made at the end of each month over the next 3 years. So T is 3 years. And the N, you are going to pay it at the end of each month. So this is the information that we have on the first part. All right. So it says that he needs to pay money. And if he chooses that plan, you have to pay this today. You have to pay this money today. And it says that PDS plans to raise the required money from a bank. So that is that. But a bank is telling them that the rate is 15, the loan is, so they will pay the money. If they want to pay a money, there's 800,000 to pay. But they don't have the money. And so they want to go and borrow a fund from a fund. And these are the information in the way it is going to be. The loan interest and other charges are amortized on even installment of you. So you know. So even though, so it means that they will make a cash payment for this. Then we have to pay this information to do the other stuff. We know that you are looking for a PVA and you already have your information as to 27 yes, even installment of 27,952.26. So if you are applying the formula, it will be one. I mean, the formula, the inside there is always like this: 1 minus 1 plus r raised to the power nt, and here r over n. So don't forget that. So that is what you have. So 1 minus 1 over 1 plus, what is our rate? 0.15 monthly compounding. So we have 12 multiplied by how many years? 3 years, all over 0.15 over 12 again. So that is that. This is what you have. So if he chooses this option, that is what we are going to calculate. Under this option, so there is a credit one. Under this option, the vendor requires an immediate down payment of a series of even payments. So followed by a series of, so there's a down payment first, then there is another payment. All right. Then it says that if PDS chooses option, it will be required to pay 50,000 today. So if money is today, we don't PV it again. It's because it's already in today. So this 50,000 we won't PV it. Then there will be followed by a payment of 116 at the end of each quarter. So we have for next 2 years interest rate. So the same process that you are going through to do. So we are going to repeat the process. And so let me see how you flow with it. All right, let's go. So if we are going to do this part now, so this, we will work this part to get our answer, how much he can get by raising the money through this means, how much he will get. So then we will use the second one. So let me say this one is option 1, right? This is option 2. We will work this, and I think if you are working it, let's see. 1, we have 0.15 divided by 12. All right, plus 1 raised to the power. This one should give me like 36, but you can punch it. I mean, you can punch raised to the power 36 or raised to the power 12 times. All right, so that you don't make mistakes. All right, so that is that. Then I do 1 divided by answer. The answer that I get, I do 1 minus that. All right, all over 0.15 over 12. For just so you know, this is how I punch it. I don't know if you can see it. All right, no. Okay. So then I get my answer. All right, I get 28. So 28 point something. So multiply by 279,952.26. 0.26. All right, so what do I get? My final answer is PVA is equal to 806,346.32. All right, so that is what I have. Okay, then the second option. All right, the second option. So the second option, it says there's a down payment. That one is paid today. All right, so the down payment, let me write the right English. The down payment, you are paying 50,000 down. Then not only that, you are going to pay 106 at the end of each quarter over. But you should understand that it is still the present value because we know the money today. So that is that. So now, for the installment part, my PVA I'm looking for is going to be 116,100. 1 minus 1 over 1 point, what's the rate? 20%, 1 plus 0.20. How is it going to be? End of each quarter. So this one was monthly, this one is quarter. So, and I get that to be 4 multiplied by 2 years all over 0.2 over 4. All right, so that is that. So let's work it out. So I'm having a 0.2 divided by 4 plus 1 raised to the power 8. All right. 1 divided by answer. Then 1 minus answer. Then divided by, so I bring in here 0.2 down 4. So I have 6.463 something. Then I multiply 116, 100. That is 75,0379.00. But there's a down payment of, so after the PVA, don't forget there was a down payment also of 50,000. So plus 50,000. So this one is 800,379.00. So if we were PDS, so the question asked us to find present value of all the payments, cash payment. So somebody will say, oh, but say, what are we? No, the question said we should find the present value of the cash payment. So that is this under option 1, the present value of the cash payment. So that is what we did. And then find the present value under the credit option of all the payment. Be careful, read question, all payment. This one wasn't the payment. This is the money they want to borrow. This is the payments. So that is what we did. All right. And here, which one of the two options? I think we should go for this one because this is lower. All right. You are paying. So the one that will give you the lower, right? All right. So that is that. The recommended payment plan. So this is okay. All right. Somebody asked me a question. So, sir, if you are doing a question like this, how will you go about the C? Please, for me, if you haven't even done the A and B, just write, go for B. Or if you can write A or B, but you haven't solved the question. So if you solve the question, that one will help you. But if you don't solve, don't lose this mark too. Just write B. All right. So that is that. All right. So I will leave the question 4, question 5 for your practice. All right. And if you want these things, I think that it is best you can contact me. All right. So 0245026087. Just get the copy of your book. All right. So the next time we meet, we are going to start. Okay, so the solutions are also here. Solve in the tutor's way for you to understand, like the way I've taught it, not the way the answers are posted somewhere. No. All right. So you do all those ones. So you have about how many questions? 12 questions. So we will start our basic investment appraiser in our next video. Try as much as possible to prepare yourself. So you see the number is here. All right, so you can reach out. All right. So all the best. See you in basic investment appraisal. Bye-bye.